Okay, I think we're going to roll. Good afternoon or good evening, everyone, depending on where you're joining us from. This is the first innovation showcase of Technology Association of Oregon's Health Tech Summit, which kicked off this morning. We are excited to showcase early stage health technology companies in a session today, and we also have another one tomorrow at noon. I am Sally Bell. I'm Vice President and Executive Director for TAO here in the Southern Willamette Valley. So I am coming to you live from the great Eugene, Oregon, which is just about 100 miles south of Portland. And I'm also joined by Riley O'Brien, VP of Events and Experiences at TAO, who's on our back end for support and our all-around events ninja. So thanks for your partnership, Riley, on today's session. Couple of logistics before we start. All participants have been muted. Please remain on mute unless one of our staff members unmutes you to call or talk. You may ask or respond to questions in the chat box, publicly or privately, by directing your message to either me or Riley. And Riley's under the name TAO Events Team today. We'll monitor the chat box and respond throughout the discussion. We ask you all to engage via the participant icon on your screen. You can raise your hand and whatnot, and we'll look for that there. Please engage with us on social media. We highly encourage you to promote out any nuggets of wisdom or about this session throughout the day. We love to share what's happening at TAO, get any takeaways from our events. And so all of those handles are listed here. So speaking of this two-day Health Tech Summit, tomorrow we have two more conversations. One is on design equity in health tech, and the other is on AI and data, as well as another round of our innovation showcase at noon. So two jam-packed days of awesome programming. And I just want to send a huge thank you to Otrati and OBI and Israel Consulate General, to the Pacific Northwest, as well as the California Israel Chamber of Commerce for supporting our 2 days of programming for the Health Tech Summit, and most especially for this innovation showcase. Thanks for this partnership and collaboration. So finally, it's my pleasure to introduce our first presenter, Marc Alexander, founder and CEO of Motussi here in Portland, Oregon. Thanks, Marc. Kicking it over to you.
Sally, thanks so much for the introduction. Good to meet everyone. Let me go ahead and share my screen, and I'll get our deck up, and I'll share a little bit about Motussi. We've been asked to just highlight a bit about our company, a little bit about the technology we offered, and differences in healthcare. And so I'm pleased to introduce Motusi Corporation. We launched the company in September of this year, and we use the tagline, "Bring the lab to the field," as a moniker for the company. We address very specifically the issue of information or insights for injury assessment, prediction, and performance around movement and movement professionals. We focus very specifically on providing those insights, and I'll tell you exactly how in a minute. For the $60 billion US market, about 1.6 million professionals around the globe, and the new need in the marketplace for continuous contextual insight into how an individual is moving, performing, recovering, or addressing a particular malady or disease. And we've created a platform that takes the lab from what is a sort of a stagnant physical location to anywhere, anytime. So why focus on musculoskeletal health? One is it is the foundation for health and performance for virtually every individual on the planet. We talk about kinetics and kinematics being the important sets of data and information that's provided, primarily the history being kinematics, with new insights like forces on the body or forces on limbs, essentially being the holy grail of performance or movement science. So we focus on instrumenting the body, collecting the data, showcasing it real time, and providing advanced baseline insights or assessments for compliance, performance, whether it's return to sport, return to work, or return to duty. And we have clients and customers in all of those segments. I'll show you a little video, but our chief clinical officer, John Eng, and I founded this company a couple of years ago with a very specific mission, not only to deal with the injury, but also to basically bringing the lab to the field to advance the future of movement science. This link will be provided everybody with a broader video, but let me show you what we have, which is a full body wearable kit, 10 AI-enabled sensors collecting data on the movement, on the body's movement real time, translated to a performance engine with Unity software or a gaming interface, providing basic insight into how your body is moving in a gamified way. We overlay that particular information with joint angles, forces, ground reaction forces, a dynamic center of mass, an entire array of insights that heretofore have not been offered outside of the lab. The pieces of our solution are very specific. A full body compression kit, we call it engineered athletic wear with an on-body area network, advanced software on a mobile that allows you to see your performance, whether it's being replayed or in front of a professional where they can see you real time in 3D. And we have all the data in the cloud stored for further analytics and for processing for the world of insurance payments in physical therapy. What's really impactful is the insights that we can provide. We talk about presenting your movement in 3D and analysis, including range of motion, joint angles. Here's a couple of examples of screenshots of our mobile application. As you saw, the mobile application move in real time with the person, but also overlaying it with body rotation, joint angles, balance left versus right. So the kinds of things that you've only been able to see in a Qualisys lab or equivalent, we now can instrument the body and provide anywhere, anytime. Our partners include Bosch and Unity software, Softrek, AWS, as well as 5 physical therapy clinics, one being referenced here, Rebound Orthopedics, and George Fox University as a partner. And our current customers include not only those PTs, but also the US military. And we're addressing issue of warfighter recovery from injury. They're just another athlete, and we look at everyone being athletes themselves. So the way to think about Motusi is really in these pillars. One is we're a measure what matters company. We happen to focus on motion, but because of the way that we collect data about movement, we can also take snapshots of additional data that are relevant to the individual's performance. Again, whether it's returning to sport, returning to work, or just trying to be compliant to a particular set of movements that are required for the job or for the sport that you're operating in. It's all personalized to the individual. It's anywhere, anytime. And again, what we do is we democratize that information between the professional as well as the patient or the performer. And with that, I'll thank everyone for attending, and I'll open it up for questions.
Thanks for that.
That was pretty quick.
I love that demo.
Did I make my 10 minutes?
You're quite efficient. But we have some questions. We have some questions here, Marc.
Sure.
And others, feel free to populate the chat if something pops for you. So tell us about the genesis of the idea for Motusi. Where did you start? How did the idea come?
Yeah, so I was with Intel 6 or 7 years ago, and we built a product called Swing IQ for Major League Baseball. And at that time, sensing on the body was just sort of coming out as something that would be sort of practical. I actually got injured in a car accident. My PT, physical therapist, is my co-founder. And at that time, I sort of knew instrumenting the body, trying to remember how to do your exercises and recover was really required because I was really a terrible patient. And so John Eng and I decided to form a company to address the issue of information correctness of movement, and as a result, Motusi was born.
That's great. Thank you for that Genesis story. So tell us about your partners. Why Unity? What's special about them?
Yeah, so Unity is the #1 gaming platform. Most people think about it using an Oculus headset and playing shoot 'em up games or adventure games or other kinds of things. We actually took real world data and we translated at 200 frames a second to the virtual world, if you will, the avatar. And we're literally their first digital health gaming company. We're really fortunate to have them as a partner. They've helped us on translating real world movement into virtual world, overlaying the data correctly. And we're really pleased to be featured with them at CES this year. So Unity as an interface, people like gaming and gaming for good, and we're tapping into that demand as a result of Unity and them being a partner of ours.
Wow, that's great. Thanks for sharing. How exciting to be the first one in this space to be able to partner with them. Last question here from me, and other folks feel free to post some questions in the chat. Sounds like you might be hiring and expanding. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and maybe what areas?
Absolutely. So our current round of financing is sort of wrapping up, and we're going into a Series A in Q1. And so we're looking to hire a couple of senior executives, both in finance and in biz dev or business creation. But like everything, we need project managers and marketing people and some software engineering. And so we're going to grow the company substantially over the course of 2022. And the reason is because we've got multiple contracts, both with the military, with hospitals, and with the world of physical therapy chains themselves. Over 400 locations have signed on for adopting Motusi. And so we're going to look for people to help us grow. And hopefully we can find that here in the Pacific Northwest region, if not nationwide.
That's so great, Marc. Thanks for sharing that, and congrats on wrapping up another round. We love hearing that you're expanding. We'd love to advertise those positions on the TAO platform, and so let's stay well connected and help you get some great folks on board for 2022.
It's one of the many reasons why we're part of TAO. So really appreciate the support.
Thank you. Well, we sure do appreciate you. Anything from the crowd here? Okay, I think Marc will wrap on Motusi. Thank you so much for giving us that overview. And
thanks so much.
Yep, you can conclude sharing, and we will move on to Test Dynamics. And I am pleased to introduce Lior Eshel, who's the CEO of Test Dynamics. And I'll hand the mic over to you, Lior. Thanks again.
Hey, Sally, thank you very much for the introduction. Hey, everybody. My name is Lior Eshel, and I'm the CEO of Test Dynamics. Our mission is to make a huge impact in healthcare and improve patient care clinical outcomes. As you know, artificial intelligence in medical field is very promising, and even more so in the field of medical imaging and diagnostics. The field is growing at a very fast pace, with thousands of individual algorithms developed by hundreds of companies and academic institutions. And each one of them is specific in certain disease anatomy, modality, and so on. However, despite the huge growth in the amount and quality of AI algorithms, in reality, hospitals rarely use AI, and those that do always use relatively old algorithms due to the lack of mass adoption. So the challenges with integrating AI into the radiology workflow, it's a very complex IT integration process, which takes months of work. And for every individual algorithms, of course, you need to go with the administrative minefield, requiring adoption of thousands of business and pricing models. We are now building a neutral platform which aggregates all those hundreds and thousands of individual algorithms into one single system, which require a single integration and offer radiologists intelligence and quick way to choose the best algorithms for their studies. Everything happens seamlessly without bothering their workflow, and the results simply showed up. The business model is subscription-based, has been validated by hospitals and is built for various hospital sizes. We currently have a great traction so far. We have been in very meaningful discussions with some of the largest hospital systems, all of which are very enthusiastic so far. We are not talking about pilot specifics and have also built a very impressive scientific advisory board with some of the most distinguished subject matter experts. We are super proud of what we achieved so far. So now I'd like to not bother you with another slide deck, but I'd rather have our future customer of Test Dynamics talk about their challenges and how Test Dynamics can solve them. So let me just share a video. Just a second.
My name is Hiram Shaish. I'm the Associate Division Chief for Body Imaging at Columbia University Medical Center, Radiology Department.
I'm Barry Pressman. I'm a neuroradiologist and I'm the chairman of the Department of Imaging at Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles and have been so almost 30 years now.
Nowadays, there isn't a patient that comes into the hospital or their doctor and doesn't get imaged in some way. So what you end up happening is every single patient that comes in to see their doctor ends up having a test that has to then be interpreted by a radiologist. Each patient usually has more than one test, and the number of radiologists is finite, and the number of studies keeps growing. So this presents a large data problem, primarily the number of cases per radiologist, and that leads to a backlog of cases. Radiologists have to spend less time per case, which inevitably may potentially lead to mistakes happening. Important cases don't get read as early as they should.
So the biggest challenges to the practice of radiology, the volume of the cases and the complications or the complicated aspects of the cases. The volumes are growing. The cases are getting more complicated because there are more and more cancer and cancer-related patients and other complicated issues, post-operative issues, all of which take radiologists a great deal of time to think out, check the medical chart, review the old studies. It can be exhausting. A single case can be exhausting and take a lot of time. And on top of that, there's this tremendous pressure of getting the cases read because everybody's waiting for that to be done. So the volumes have been exacerbated by the difficulty of the cases, and it's hard to get the work done. We need different ways to prioritize cases, to improve our accuracy, and to increase our speed. Your interest is artificial intelligence. I think that's the answer. And we're using it in my practice for a number of different conditions, and it makes a tremendous difference. In those areas, we get faster. We need help with tumors, other issues where comparisons can be made with AI systems to help us, to do the measurements for us, the things that are important, but that just are busy work.
So we're dealing with an incredible explosion in the volume of cases and the complexity of cases, many more images per cases, and dealing with a limited workforce to handle these.
So this is a classic problem for AI to be used, both in terms of optimizing the system, prioritizing which studies have to be read, and even offering preliminary reads for some studies in very specific scenarios.
I can see AI helping provide solutions to many of the problems. So we're using limited AI right now as we're exploring what's out there and how they best fit in.
So we dabbled a little bit. So we have had some experience with it, but in general, no, we have not really employed many AI solutions in our clinical.
I think the There's a slow and progressive growth of AI throughout the United States and the world, but not nearly as rapid as I would have expected or as I think is appropriate for improving the speed, efficiency, quality of medical radiologic care in the country. We need a way to make them all available to us in a financially viable package. It doesn't exist right now. So some of them are just saying, well, if I can't do it all, maybe I won't do it all, at all.
Test dynamics, importantly, one of the reasons that I was drawn to test dynamics, it offers an approach to how to integrate AI, which actually gets at the big problem, right? We're really dealing with the larger issue at hand, which is how do we get these solutions into the computers that radiologists use, or how do we actually tap into the power of AI? And we know that there are hundreds of solutions out there. We're just not able to access them. I think the approach is very important. Will contribute to the future of radiology if test dynamics is successful.
I think it's relatively obvious that the answer to that is yes, because what test dynamics is going to accomplish for the customer is the ability to pick and choose with a financial model that doesn't tear you down financially. Test Dynamics has a business model that should do that very well.
I think this platform is really interesting. I think the ability to have multiple different solutions in one place where you could do one integration and then access many different solutions would simplify many of the issues here. And also, you wouldn't have to make this big investment and could then turn on and turn off solutions that don't work. Turn off ones that don't work for you and turn on ones that do work for you.
All right, that's it.
Thanks, Lior. Great to hear from some of the folks in the field from firsthand experience. Can you tell us a little bit more about your platform and what makes it unique?
So basically, we are developing a neutral platform. So in one side, we are not developing the AI tools for the algorithms for radiologists. And from the other side, we are not developing the workflow of the radiologists, like the PAC systems, which is the imaging systems within the hospital. So basically, we are neutral and we can integrate with any AI solutions and also any PAC systems, which already right now in the market, there are more than 30 companies doing PACs for radiologists. So this actually, and on top of that, we are developing an AI tool that basically will do the matching process. So basically, if a radiologist is reviewing a case, we want to be able to predict which AI algorithms we should run on the case in order to kind of copy the model, how they review the case, and not just implementing one AI solution or two AI solutions. Maybe it could be like 4 solutions in the same study, just to try to tap in everything, out there.
Thanks. And so for AI providers specifically, can you talk to some of the advantages for them within this model?
Yeah, so basically AI providers, nowadays, hospitals know that there are more than 400 companies and thousands of solutions available in the market. So most of the hospitals that we talk to and most of the CIOs that we are in contact with just block them. Because they have no way to integrate thousands of solutions into their system, which while every algorithms or every company develop their own UI, they have their own business model and their own paying systems, and the administration work and the IT work is enormous, right? So it can take months. So for AI providers, we are actually providing kind of a sales force within the platform that will be probably much more valid for hospitals to integrate with one company in one solution and gain everything out there in terms of the algorithms available in the market.
Thank you. And then specifically for radiologists, we heard some of their perspectives in the video. What are the explicit advantages for them within this platform?
Yeah, so you saw it in the video, but but basically nowadays, the radiologist is really struggling because the number of cases is just growing every year, and also the complexity of the cases. You know, there are more and more tumor-related cases and more diseases that they need to diagnose, and that they have no time to spend, you know, on a specific case, because statistics-wise, you know, they have like 6 minutes to diagnose a case, which never happened. So they're actually piling a very big backlog of cases. And they also have no prioritization process. I mean, the only way they can prioritize cases, it's if the doctor is just send someone with, I don't know, a stroke or something that he mentioned on his report. But otherwise, the PACS is not able to prioritize cases. So AI can do that very well. So basically, we want to make radiologists much more efficient and much more accurate, because the accuracy level is also very low. There are more than 30% of the cases daily is like a bad mistake, and false diagnosis. So we want to make them more efficient and, you know, more accurate in the long run.
Thank you, Lior. We really appreciate a look under the hood of test dynamics. And Sharon, thanks for sharing that in the chat. We are absolutely committed to this partnership, and thanks for being here. Thanks for your collaboration. Okay, Lior, we're going to wrap, and I'm going to move on to our next featured company. And so I'm going to introduce MUNDO PATO. It's my pleasure to introduce Esther Thane. I apologize, Esther. I hope, is it Thane or Thane?
Thane.
Oh, it's Thane.
Yeah.
Esther Thane, thanks for being here.
No problem, Sally.
She's Vice President of Development for MUNDO PATO, and I'm going to hand over the mic to you, Esther.
Thank you so much, Sally. Pleasure to be here today. So our company, MUNDO PATO, really is working within the wheelhouse of therapy and education in the world today. We were founded in 2010. And we've been operating since 2014 in approximately 14 countries, serving thousands of clients within the therapy and educational communities. What I'm going to show you today is just a little tidbit of what we do. I'll share my screen here. Okay, so what you see here is the platform as it looks like to practitioners, to school educators that may want to utilize it within the cloud. So what we can really do is we go all the way from assessment, where we run assessments on the platform, showing the psychometrics, all the way to program management. So being able to take data collection and document, all the way to processing the data and managing the data as well. We have lots of different program experts that have hosted their programs on our platform, which is called, by the way, Unitas TI. The TI is for Therapy Intelligence. And so some of the types of program authors or experts we have that have loaded programs onto Unitas TI are such as, we have behavioral programs, we have functional academics programs for school districts, we have restorative justice programs for schools, we have motion capture programs for occupational therapy and physical therapy. And we have music therapy and creative arts as well. So we really run the gamut of all different types of therapy and educational programs. So first of all, I just wanted to show you what it looks like to run a program and take data. So if we were running a program on a client or a student, I'm going to select the student. And I'm going to run specifically a music therapy treatment program. So here you can see that this particular client has many different therapeutic goals that also can really coincide with IEP goals within the school that a therapist might be working on either in the school or outside of the school in the service provider's team for that client or student. So here we have goals like joint attention, motor praxis goals, working on fine motor skills, coordinated movement, and communication goals as well. So it's very important for therapy and education organizations and agencies to really be on the cloud today in order to organize all of their data, keep it secure, etc. So here we see an example of this goal. We can see that it is run with a simple 4-point rating scale. We have all types of data acquisition when it comes to therapy and education collection, whether that might be discrete trial, frequency counts, taking duration data, as I mentioned, motion capture data as well. So this is just one of many use cases. So here we can see a 4-point rating scale, and it can be as simple as just tapping which number on that scoring criteria that client or student scored after that session or during the session. We also have within the platform, as I mentioned, assessment, and we also have a variety of different tool sets. One of our tool sets is used quite a bit within the Scholastic system, and that is our virtual materials. Especially when the pandemic struck, it was really important for teachers and school districts to still maintain all of their scholastic and academic goals, even when they were doing remote learning. So here, for instance, I will open up one of the functional academic packs that we have. And I'm just going to open up the animal packs. Within each pack, you have hundreds of different slides and decks that teachers can use remotely or in the same room on a tablet with a child. So as I open up one of these packs, you can see that they're always reloading, etc. And we have the ability on UnitedSTI to take that data either manually and as well under the hood, so that again, all of that data is going to be compiled, and educators and therapists, whether you're an occupational therapist or psychologist, etc., you can really analyze all of the data. So that brings me to the dashboard area, which is where the analyzing can actually be done. We have lots of different dashboards that you can really look at the system. For instance, if you wanted to compare one group of clients compared to another group of clients, you can see exactly where the failure might be. Is it the client that's failing the program? Is it the therapist or the educator that's failing the client? Or is it the program that's failing? So this high level of analytics can be really monitored at any given time in real time by the upper administration, or even by a simple sole practitioner or therapist that might subscribe to our account. We are also subscription based. So here we can see exactly how many users have completed assessments, the total number of clients, etc. We can look at assessment scores, compare different institutions to other institutions. For instance, if we have multi-regional accounts as well that maybe are also across various states or various provinces, etc., that can all be analyzed there. So one of the really, or two of the really crucial, important essences to having your therapy and education being done on the cloud are two things. One is that there needs to be a high level of compliance, whether that's HIPAA compliance, FERPA compliance, Star Alliance, everything, what have you. So that is something that we certainly adhere to, are all of the compliances within our platform. The other main issue is really being able to take data management, process the data, manage the data, and analyze the data. And that's all possible on the cloud. So just to conclude, we really welcome and would love to partner with any of the innovations and platforms that we're seeing here today as well. And we also welcome any program experts to host their programs. We have a myriad of different programs, as I mentioned before, that we offer within the therapy and education community.
Thanks, Esther. What a valuable platform. Really exciting. Tell us about what effects the cloud has had on music therapy treatment in particular.
Well, that's a very good question, Sally. Music therapy is one of those kind of underdogs when it comes to therapy in general. And we don't always, receive a lot of funding within the music therapy field in general. Any creative arts therapy, any therapy that isn't maybe a behavioral based therapy is really struggling to create an identity out there in society. And what being on the cloud really offers is that visibility, that efficacy of what we're doing, being able to show that there is efficacy to this modality or different creative arts modality, being able to prove that there is progress that is taking place with clients and students is really important to represent to others, whether that's other educators or the parent community or other paraprofessionals in the service industry as well within therapy and education. So being able to really show that without people having to be in the session is really only done through the cloud because you have those instant analytics and metrics to demonstrate the proof.
Sure, thanks. And so thinking again, back to what the cloud can enable for folks and this type of platform, why is it so relevant for behavioral treatment?
Well, historically, behavioral treatment requires a lot of paperwork. It required, in the early days, people walking around with big binders, tracking data points while they were working with children, for instance, with autism, being able to show exactly how often they were giving eye contact or initiating conversation. And that could be really cumbersome, walking around with big binders and taking incredible amount of data and then having to plot all of the points on graphs, et cetera, and share in a clinical report. By being on the cloud, for instance, anybody who is a behavioral therapist, they can just whip their phone out of their back pocket or their tablet, and they can be taking data on the fly. And again, all of that data, because there is a lot of data when you're working within the behavioral realm, all of that data is really in real time and can be analyzed, and certainly creates way more efficiency for those behavioral therapists that don't have to do it all on paper.
Sure, amen to less binders.
Yeah,
in our worlds.
Save the trees.
Tell us about the last 18 months and COVID and how it's impacted cloud education. What are you seeing from your point of view, Esther?
Well, I think as all of us can really relate, for us, we are a software company. And as I mentioned, we're in so many countries all over the world. So we were very accustomed to doing Zoom meetings. But just in general, everybody has learned how, everyone's become very proficient on using Zoom and video conferencing in general. So I think that that extension to the educational community is very vital and is very represented since the pandemic, because teachers were at a loss. When the schools closed during many of the various lockdowns that were happening all over the world, how are they going to access academic goals with their students from home? Really, you didn't have a choice but to go on the cloud. So being able to have the programs that we have already hosted on the cloud, as well as various tool sets that we provide, like the virtual materials, allowed teachers to still continue teaching and the student to still be engaged in their education journey, but from home, remotely. And what we've really found is they really embraced it. School districts really embraced the technology because, you know, necessity is the mother of invention, right? As the saying goes. And so it really allowed the opportunity for them to embrace it. And we're finding as a result, they're maintaining a lot of those tools that they were using, even though they are back in school, again, because of that efficiency, because of the reason that they can actually have all this data being taken under the hood, so to speak, in real time, and don't have to go back and generate IEP reports that take so long to do. They've got all the data right there at their fingertips.
Thank you for those insights, Esther. Loved investigating the platform and hope we can be a good collaborator going forward.
Would love that.
Thanks. Okay, we're going to wrap for that one. And we have one last showcase to offer. And this is Echocare. And so I'd like to introduce Rafi Zack, who is co-founder and CEO. Rafi is coming to us live from Israel, where it's probably nearing 11 p.m. at this point. So Rafi, we appreciate
Almost
you
there.
pinging in at this late hour. And I'm gonna pass the mic to you.
Thanks, Sally. Thank you very much. And hello, everybody. So my name is Rafi Zack. I'm co-founder and CEO of Echocare Technologies. And I would like to share my deck. 1 second. If I will be able to make it. Oh, it's not this one.
Looks good.
Can you see? I'm not sure. Something just getting
I
wrong.
can see it.
Can you see the deck in
Sure
presentation mode? Really?
I can see it. Actually, it looks like it's not in presentation mode.
Yeah, something that I couldn't share. Something happened to my PC. Oh.
Maybe try one more time, Rafi.
Yeah, I will try one more time. And if we cannot make it, I might need to. So 1 second. Oh, my PC just stuck. Hello? Can you still hear me?
Yep, you're still with us.
Oh, something went wrong with my PC. Oh.
Rafi, can you send it? Can you send it to me?
My PC
or is
just
it frozen?
stopped working. Yeah, it's just frozen. I don't know why. Let me just quickly try to do something here.
Rafi, is this the same presentation that I have? Maybe I can pull it up for
I'm not
you.
sure. No, it's a different deck. Something just give me 1 second. Okay, maybe this time it will be better. Let's give it a chance. Okay, can you see that now?
We can, hooray.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry for the delay. So Echocare is in the field of senior care at home or patient care at home. So as we all know, our senior would like to live independently as long as they can. And it's the same for patients, as we could see from the recent COVID period. And that's definitely increased some risk for distress at their apartment. But when we are talking about a home environment, which is a private environment, our senior really are not really committed to wear devices for 24/7 or having any privacy invasive solutions such as a camera-based solution. So into this gap, Echocare entered and developed a non-wearable, non-privacy invasive home monitoring system that automatically detects and alerts various emergencies, abnormal situations, as well as indicating on a potential health deterioration. Our system is based on unique radar that we developed, followed by AI engine and machine learning, and it can cover a complete apartment, nominal senior apartment, even through the walls. and the system is connected to our cloud where we can provide additional services. So you can see here our device as it's installed in our apartment ceiling. And the key idea behind our technology is that the radar is continuously tracking 5 body indicators. We call it a human state, which is the person location, posture, motion, respiration, and in some cases also the heart rate. Those body indicators, what we call it a human states, get to upper layers in the device, which is based on AI and machine learning. So our device can provide, our system can provide 3 levels of reports. The highest level is the emergency situations, such as acute falls, drowning, BAFTA, which is a major problem in Japan, for instance, or respiratory distress. The other level of report, which is, we call it sort of the very red flag, just getting to acute situation, is the abnormal situation. Such an example is repetitive moderate falls, those light falls that might lead to acute fall. So we would like to alert in something happen to our seniors just before they have a acute fall, means required an hospitalization or intubation. The last level, but definitely not the least, is the capability to track the daily activity of our seniors, what's called activity of daily living, in order to detect long-term cases such as the potential health deterioration, which is done by tracking 3 items. The physical activity means when the person is active, what is the level of activity along the day, and the home usage, how the person spends the time in the home environment, whether the person already visited kitchen or how many times visited the restroom, and etc. And the last item is the gait profile, means the walking profile, the amount of meters that the person walks on daily, and specific day, what is the average walking speed, and etc. So as I mentioned before, our system is connected to our cloud, where we can provide additional services such as connectivity to a third-party nursing call system or EHR, or providing additional services, means we can from time to time propose additional services that remotely updated at the device itself. And of course, we have our default dashboard for the cases that our customer doesn't have any unique or cloud-based nursing call system or EHR. So this is our dashboard. You can see per each resident we have such a tile, which is symbolic case, and we can get into, they can get into additional pages with much more information, such as the ADL, respiratory profile, etc. So I hope you can see some video here since we are talking about technology. So in this case, our radar is installed in the ceiling. This is in our previous office. And you can see that the system tracks the trajectory of a person, even the person is actually getting in another room, means the system can keep tracking through the walls. Some of our use cases, today are major use cases in the bathrooms, where most of the distress coming there, having there, such as having an acute falls, means sliding in the shower area. This is a Japanese bathroom, by the way. Having a stroke, or lying in the bathroom, fall asleep, and then they just drowning. A major problem, by the way, in Japan. About 20,000 elderly people die every year in Japan due to those distresses. So our system is the only system today to detect all those 3 items. Another deployment that we can see from Australia, senior living facilities, that they would like to track both ADL and, of course, detect virus emergencies, as I mentioned before. And the last use cases, we call it above the bed, is to track in a better resolution what's going on with the person during sleeping time, whether a person is about to get out of a bed without being allowed to do so, and etc. Just giving you last example before ramping up is a pilot that we ran with one of the medical centers in Israel during in the Corona world, and we could see here a real situation when where our device just sent an alert of hyperventilation, means some respiratory distress. So when we looked into the respiratory level, we could see a very light hyperventilation, about 29 RPMs. But after 30 minutes, we can see here, it was about 34 minutes, the patient respiratory profile just jumped to about 37, which is very high hyperventilation. So without our system, no one really could assess that, because the person who's sitting on the armchair was not connected to any monitoring device. That was a moderate patient, not a severe case, so they would like to keep them free as much as possible. So with our system, we can actually, talking about hospital at home, we can definitely assess various situations. For example, respiratory distress, which is definitely relevant for our COVID period. So I think, I'm not sure I have too much time, so I will skip those videos, but summarizing that our system fulfills various use cases, bathroom cases, as I mentioned, senior apartment, means including the ADL, around the bed, and in the future, we will also support remote patient monitoring for hospital at home. So thank you very much, and sorry for taking too much time to kick off.
Thank you, Rafi. I think we still have time for a few questions. Tell us about the uniqueness of the system, and in particular, the activity of daily living monitoring.
So there are 3 levels of uniqueness in our system. The first one is the capability to continuously monitor those 5 body indicators. This is today the only system to be capable as a non-wearable, non-privacy invasive, of course. Out of those indications, we can drive various functionalities. Of course, one of the major functionalities is ADL. And ADL today, it becomes very important because we don't really know what's going on to our seniors. Even we can visit them several times a week, but we don't know about any long-term head deterioration. We don't know how they really react on some new treatment or new medication. So with our ADL, based on those 3 tracking capabilities, we can provide a very qualified information backward to the caregiver or to the medical doctor, closing the loop in order to assess whether the person is in recovery mode or whether getting into some deterioration phase, and etc.
Thank you. And then tell us about how COVID has impacted this business model, the product and the marketplace for it.
Yes, thanks for that question. Actually, with several directions, let's call it like that. Of course, all of us could face with the challenge of let our seniors kept isolated for long periods. So, and unfortunately, in many places, of course, also in Israel, we could find some situation where our seniors died in the apartment because no visitor, no treatment. And with our system, we could solve that. And of course, this situation just expedite the need for such a technologies to track on daily basis our seniors. So this is one side of our story. The other one is regarding to hospital at home. And I think this is, the Echocare solution aside to others, of course, expedite the need for supporting home hospitalization or hospital at home in order to avoid the overload that we could see in many places, including states. And I believe that this dramatically influenced the worldwide healthcare system. So we think that the Echocare solution should be part of such, let's say, advanced healthcare system.
Mm-hmm. And so thinking about the greater digital health arena, how do you see this technology and this product in particular?
Yeah, so I think that we can see more and more advanced technologies, advanced software based on AI capabilities. Marc mentioned that before. Virus layer even on top of the EHR, and one of the key important issues that we will have a qualified source of data. So of course, while aggregating EHR information, HMOs information, caregiver text, and etc., we would like to provide. We need to provide some source of data, but coming automatically is not really always being related whether the caregiver wrote a text. And we think that those, let's say, the bottom layer of the sensing of the information is highly important for the success of a healthcare system, of a new and advanced healthcare systems. So once again, we believe that the Echocare solution is part of this ecosystem that will aggregate plenty of data, but most of them should be very qualified and in order to analyze and provide real information about and status at any moment about the seniors or any patient at pre-acute, post-acute, and etc.
Thank you, Rafi. We're going to end on one quick question from a participant, Ricardo. Feel free to unmute and ask your question.
Thank you, Sally. Rafi, very comprehensive solution, so congratulations. I know how complicated it is to develop those things.
Thank you.
Just have two questions. One is, how are you connecting to systems like Epic or Cario? Are those, you just have an API to connect to those systems? Are you nesting with LTI or whatever? That's number one. And number two is, are you using this system for special needs like Down syndrome, autism, epilepsy? And if so, we would be interested in talking to you afterwards, but that's the question. So thank you.
Okay, so regarding your first question, yes. So our device is connected to our cloud for two major purposes. One is to be like a centralized point to transfer the information to third-party platforms such as nursing call system, EHRs, and other platforms. And yes, we use a specific cloud-to-cloud API. We plan to support the FHIR capabilities as well. And I hope this answers the first question. Regarding to your other question is pretty interesting one. We get a lot of requests to support various cases. For you mentioned epilepsy and etc. But in hospital, one of the challenging is assessing hyperactive, hyperactive delirium, for instance. So of course, with our system, we can capable to assess the level of motions, as I mentioned before. One of the indicators is tied to respiratory profile, and then I analyze and provide some information about additional scenarios. So the question we have not handled that yet, but we definitely would like to support various scenarios, as you just mentioned, and others as well. And we will be happy to collaborate about that as well. Just giving you maybe one indication about something that is we are really interesting and try to build such as a consortium is regarding the pre-dementia phases, which is really tracking for very long period the seniors' activity and indicate whether there is any long-term cognitive decline, what's so-called mild cognitive impairment, which is the very, very pre-dementia, in order to find later on the ways to hold it or revert it. And we already know that there is a lot of work, both brain training and others, medical-based solution in order to revert such a major problem worldwide. So such an example.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question. Thank you, Rafi. We're going to conclude, and to all of the attendees and panelists, we will conclude and wrap this session for today. Thank you so much for your time. Amazing and distinct platforms and business models, so much innovation here. We welcome you to continue with us tomorrow for 3 more events for this series, and we hope that you all have a wonderful afternoon and evening. Thanks for making the time to be here.
Thanks, Sally.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.